If you're in the market and you're looking for a new house, chances are you want to know how much it's actually going to cost you to get into a new house. And a lot of people will hear the terms closing costs and then they'll also hear down payment. A lot of people think this is one and the same, but it is not. It is two separate charges and two separate expenses that you really need to know what the difference is and what to be aware of while going in to purchase a home. So in today's video, I'm going to cover what the differences are and what closing costs will cover for expenses and what the down payment actually goes towards, so that you are clear as day on what goes where and you're ready to purchase your home. So let's dive right on into this video. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Moynihan. I'm a local real estate agent and investor based out of Keene, New Hampshire. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in New Hampshire, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. Or if you want to go down below in the description, there's actually a link that you can schedule a free 30-minute call and we can discuss what your real estate goals are and see how I can help you up here in New Hampshire. So feel free to click on that and let's dive right into the differences between closing costs and down payment. So the first one we're going to start out with is the down payment. Now, what is a down payment? It's pretty simple. It's a percentage of the actual purchase price that you are paying for the house, and it goes to lower your actual loan amount because it's a down payment for the loan amount. So a lot of people will be a little bit confused at this because they see all the time or they hear from older folks that you can only buy a house with 20% down, and that's just not true. And you can actually buy it for way lower than that. There are tons of programs like an FHA that's 3.5% down, VA that's 0% down, or you can go with some conventional loans that are 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%. So you've got tons of options for what it is. So once you figure out which is the best for you, just understand that the down payment is actually kind of like an upfront cost of the house. And now for closing costs, what are closing costs? Now, closing costs are a separate expense because those are really fees to actually get the transaction done and gone through so it can transfer ownership to you as a new buyer. And these are additional fees to finalize the transaction beyond the down payment. So what do the closing costs actually cover and how much are they? Typically, there's not really a set cost for closing costs because it really matters what you're buying and what time of year and all that stuff. But it's typically 2 to 5% of the house that you're purchasing. And what do these fees actually include? These will be a bunch of different fees. So you got lender fees, title and escrow, you got an appraisal, property taxes, insurance, prepayment, because you usually have to do a year of homeowner's insurance right when you purchase it, prorations for like fuel, water and sewer, anything like that. And then also attorney fees if those are applicable in your state. But in New Hampshire, we're a title state, so that's usually covered under the title fees. So that's what it actually covers. And like I said, this is actually the cost of doing the business and having to pay these people for doing their work. So that's what's actually included in the closing costs, and you'll see that broken down when you get the final closing disclosure or ALTA, which lists out all the numbers of the transaction, who's getting what, credits and debits to the seller and credits and debits to the buyer. Now, the key differences are pretty simple. Down payment goes towards the equity of the home because it's reducing the loan amount, while the closing costs are the transaction fees, the services that are required to complete the purchase, and you're paying the people that did the work. And both of them are due at closing, but they serve different purposes. Now, let's run just a quick example because I do want this video to be pretty short. So, how much should you budget? Say you're going to purchase a $400,000 home and you do a 5% down conventional loan. Now that 5% equals $20,000, which is your down payment. So that means you're only getting a loan for $380,000 even though you're buying a house at $400,000. And then closing costs, we'll just estimate at 3% because again, it's 2 to 5% for closing costs. So 3% is $12,000. So the total cash needed to close is $32,000 because you have to add them both up. Now, I always suggest getting a loan estimate, knowing what you're going to be paying from your lender when you're actually going to make a purchase, and always ask them, hey, what should I be expecting for closing costs? Because again, it's going to be different for each house and each transaction. Now, there are some ways to reduce these costs, and one way is to get the seller to pay for some of them. Now, the seller can get some closing costs and prepaids, which can be written up in the offer. Now, that's completely negotiable, and it depends on how the housing market is. If you're putting an offer in on a house that has 5 offers already, you probably don't want to ask the seller to pay for anything because they probably have offers that don't include them paying for things. So you got to know where you're standing. Now, if the house is sitting on the market 30 days, say, hey, I want the seller to pay $5,000 in my closing costs. They might entertain that because the house has been sitting for a while. And another thing you can do is a closing cost program. So New Hampshire has New Hampshire Housing, which offers down payment assistance programs, which can actually give you anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, and that'll help with you to actually get into the house with the down payment. And a lot of these are actually forgiven loans, because if you stay in the house for 5 years, that loan's completely forgiven of that money. So it is something that you'd want to reach out to your lender and say, hey, is this something that I would actually qualify for and could get? And then there's some other things that you can do through the lender, which are lender credits, but those typically you're getting a higher interest rate in exchange for lower upfront costs. So if you're really tight on upfront costs, it might be a good idea. But again, remember that interest rate's going to be for 30 years. Even though a lot of people don't hold the same mortgage for 30 years, they usually refinance at some point, but just keep that in mind. Now, like I said, this was going to be a quick video. It's pretty simple, just breaking down the down payment versus a closing cost. Down payment goes directly towards the equity of your house and lowers your actual loan amount. The closing costs are kind of just a cost of doing business and buying a house, because you got to pay people for the work they're doing behind the scenes. It's not just the real estate agent that's doing work, the lender's doing work, the title company's doing work, you have a home appraiser going out there to do work. So there's a bunch of people involved in this transaction, even though sometimes it just feels like it's the lender and the agent, but there's more than that. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below, and I'd be happy to see what you have, see if I can help answer those. And if you want to connect with me personally, again, I do have a link below in the description for a free 30-minute consultation. Feel free to book it if you're looking to buy in New Hampshire, invest in New Hampshire, looking to sell, whatever it is, real estate wise. If you have questions and you want to ask me, feel free to book that, or my number, contact information is right in the description as well. So I hope this video helped clarify the differences between closing costs and between the actual down payment. If you have any questions, again, put them down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys next week with another video.